Okay, this is going to be another field gear idea video for people that just, they're not sure what to get, what should they look for, there's too many options, that type of thing. It's going to be concerning some mess gear items. It's going to be concerning your canteen cup or a drinking cup. You may not think that's important. You got canteens, you got a CAMELBAK. Well, something you need to know with canteens and CAMELBAK. You cannot put a drink mix inside a plastic canteen or a CAMELBAK. What ends up happening is the taste from that drink mix or whatever you're putting in there, it bonds with the plastic. Now, you used to be able to pour stuff into the metal canteens, put that on top of a stove, heat it up, and then you could drink hot coffee from your canteen. You can't do that with the plastics. It just, once that flavor or that scent bonds with the plastic, it never goes away, ever. When I was a kid growing up, we had a neighbor kid in my neighborhood. His dad was a Vietnam vet. He brought some of his gear back with him from Vietnam. Well, one of the things he brought back with him was his canteens, and after how many decades, his canteens still smelled like the Kool-Aid he used to mix in the water. It never goes away. So never, ever, ever put coffee, put Kool-Aid, put tea mix, lemonade mix, or even electrolyte powder inside a plastic canteen or a CAMELBAK. If you want to drink that stuff, you're going to have to mix it in something else. If you just want plain water, go ahead. Drink that from your canteen, drink that from your CAMELBAK. Now, someone's going to bring up, well, what about metal canteens? If I get that, could I mix it in there and I'm fine? Maybe. There are people that do carry around metal canteens on their gear. And they do that so that they can heat the water in their canteen in the field in the wintertime. But realize there's a reason why they were retired. They were retired because they were noisy. The caps are held on with typically a metal chain, and that metal chain, when you're running, it's constantly banging into the canteen. It's making noise, and there's not much you can do about it. That's why we went with the plastic ones with plastic hanger straps, if you want to think of that, for holding the caps on. And this is one of the older style caps. It does not have the M1 NBC cap. So in this configuration, this is more of what they would have had in Vietnam. Now, there was something that was carried in with the military even before we transferred to the plastic canteens, and that was a canteen cup. Those are still a very viable option. But realize prices really vary. And also sizes. This is a French one. It's about the same size as a USGI one. Slides onto the bottom of the canteen and then slips into the canteen pouch. This one has a similar setup to the more modern issued canteen cups from the US military. It has these wire handles on it that you can grip it. You can put this over a fire, heat it up, grab it by the handle here, and you're not as likely to burn your hand. There was an older version, which you've seen, say, pre-1980s, that had just a single folding metal strap that went under here. When you needed it, you just folded it out, and then there was a little lock that you dropped down onto the bracket here to hold it in place. Nothing wrong with those. I recommend getting a military canteen cup if you can afford it. The price really varies on the market now. And I just looked at some prices on surplus ones and the civilian versions, and they are all over the place. The cheapest I seen was like $8. with the average being about 15 to 16 a piece per canteen cup, to as high as $20 for a single canteen cup. So that may put it out of the price range of other people. Now I'm going to show this quick. I said that sizes do kind of vary. This is the East German one that comes with the East German canteens. Look at the size difference from it compared to a NATO nation. One that's kind of based off of the US canteen cup. Considerably different. You know, the East German ones are basically sippy cups. There's not much in them. You can maybe get a couple sips and that's about it. It's essentially an espresso cup. And these were tied to the top of the canteen. It comes with the canteen and the cover. It's part of the set. You can't buy these separate. At least you shouldn't be able to. So that leaves the civilian stuff. Well, what's the cheapest you can probably get? Well, the very bottom basement would be this little thing. And these, you'll still come across them inside cooking sets, camping cookware, and that type of stuff. It's just a little 8-ounce cup. And that's really pushing it on the 8-ounce part. I get these with some of the cook sets that I get, the older ones. And the first thing I do is I pull this type of stuff out of it. If it's got gradations on it that I can use it as a measuring cup, well then I put it in other stuff to use as a measuring cup. This one doesn't have that, so this just goes off on the side for, you know, emergency purposes. You know, if I end up with a group of people showing up at my place and they got kids, well, here, we got little kid-sized cups we can give them. Do I recommend something like this in your gear? Probably not, unless you're using it as a measuring cup. It's just, it's not that big. You know, it's not too much different in size from the East German canteen cup. So the East German canteen cup's probably 6 to 8 ounces also. Thing that you'll find more often in camping stores and farm and fleet type stores, your hardware stores that has camping items, will be the enamelware stuff. And it's all over for prices also. I've seen them down to $5. The average seems to be like 7 to 8 for a single cup. And then as you can see, the size really varies. This one came with a cook set that you can get at Walmart. Maybe I'll do a video on that cook set. I got it to assess it. And then this one here is a little bit better for the enamel on it. It's a little bit thicker. This just looks like it's essentially just a real thin layer of paint. This is thicker, but this is flaked off. This has been used. You know, it's still an option. You're not going to carry it on your canteen, obviously, but you can pack it inside your salt pack or inside your rucksack. And then when you want to have some hot coffee or something, just heat up the water inside your mess kit, pour it inside the cup, mix up your coffee, or have a separate coffee pot, mix it up. That type of stuff. You can mix your drink mix directly in the cup, not a problem. Could you use a cup like this over a fire? I can't say for certain. I haven't tried it. I'm guessing you could. It just depends on how close you get the cup to the flame. If you get it too close, it probably will melt the lacquer, the paint on it, potentially setting that on fire. So you're going to probably want a little bit of separation if you use something like this for heating up water to drink. Now, another option here is some that I find at historic living events, which I do try to go to those when there's one within range of where I live. And I got some examples here that I got from some people this last weekend. You can get the supersized, basically Tankards, which we can compare in size here to a 1-quart canteen. So you're looking at almost 2 quarts inside this tankard. Now, should you get something like this? It's up to you. I mean, are you realistically going to drink that much in a single draw? You know, at a single meal? Probably not. You got some others that, you know, a little bit more realistic in size. These are actually large enough that, you know, you could potentially use them also. They could double as little cook pots. You could do little batches of soup inside them. Take that 4-person pouch of soup that I've mentioned in cache videos, you know, pour a little bit of it in here with some water, heat up the water, and have a drink. These are, this one's going to be at least a quart in here. Or I'll say about 3/4 of a quart. This one will be at least a pint. Now there's, the reason I'm showing you the 2 of these is their construction. This one, if you look at the bottom here, the bottom is a separate piece from the rest of the cup. It's kind of welded on there, sealed on there, soldered on there, can't say for certain, but it's attached on, it does not leak. This one is pressed from one solid piece. Now between the 2 of these, which one would I choose to carry with me for using in the field? I would probably go with more of this option because it's a solid piece. I would have concerns that if I used this one over a fire to heat up fluid inside, I might end up damaging that little seam down here, cook out any solder material that's in there, or damage the weld however it was done. And then this thing will come apart, start leaking, and then I lose my cup / soup pot. This, I wouldn't have as much of a worry about that with this one because it's pressed from one solid piece. I did buy one of these from the same historic living event that Combat Cameraman got this one from. And the one that I have, the main issue I had with it is right down here. This handle is spot welded on. And the one that I have, those spot welds broke. So just be aware that that could happen. You could lose the handle. Well, if that's the case, as long as there isn't a hole on the inside where the weld broke, there's nothing wrong with it. It can still double as your cup and your soup pot. Instead of using the handle though, you're probably going to want to have a glove whenever you would pick it up, drink from it, or use it as your bowl and spoon out your soup. But these, you know, it's just some options out there for those of you that are trying to find gear. You know, you're not sure what to get. You're jumping into prepping kind of late in the game, if you want to think of it that way. You're not sure, you're overwhelmed, you see all these videos out there saying you got to get this because this is the most expensive, this is the best on the market, this is titanium with platinum coating. You know, that stuff drives me nuts. And most of the people that do videos on that stuff, I'm willing to bet they're being paid by the manufacturer to give such glowing reviews to their stuff. If this is the first time you've come to my channel, when I show you stuff like this, I'm trying to show you stuff that's a little bit cheaper. You know, it's going to work. It's going to work for as long as you need it to. Maybe I'll point out that there might be issues with some of it, but you know, if you take precautions to avoid some of those issues, it'll still work. There you go. You know, it's not super important. You know, it's not as life-saving as your body armor. But then again, if you think about it, maybe it is. Maybe having that cup with you when it's 10 below zero, 20 below zero, and you're trying to heat up, where that little cup of soup or that cup of coffee may mean the difference between you freezing to death that night and you surviving. Think about it. Something as simple as your mess gear can be just as important as your weapon and your body armor when it comes to surviving in the fight. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and militia movements, always remember essayons.